So we're introducing a new rubber tube style with new fittings and new clamps here at Tidland. We're going from this style of rubber tube assembly where you had a compression type fitting that went down in the tube, a cap went over the top of that, and then you had your jam nut on top, and you had to cut the rubber tube very precise at the end so that it would fit up here inside your cap and do a compression type fitting between the fitting and the cap, and then you had to make a special clamshell type clamp that would fit in the vise so that you could actually torque down the nut on this fitting. Some of the problems with that is that people wouldn't get a nice square cut on the end, they wouldn't get it far enough up inside the cap. All of these would cause either failures, air leaks, or customers would tend to blow the fitting out of the non-valve end of the tube. And then the other problem with that is the nut here is steel and this fitting is aluminum. So you would only get a couple of uses out of reusing the fitting before the threads would be basically not reusable. So then you'd have to buy a whole new assembly. With this new style fitting that we have come up with, the rubber tube assembly is going to look more like this. It's going to have these Oedeker type clamps on there and just the fitting. So you're lessening the components quite a bit because you won't have the O-ring connector that threads into the inside of your tube socket, along with the nuts, the fittings, the caps, and your rubber tube, and those all for both ends. So basically, even if you have a tube stiffener in your shaft now, you have 6 components to your air system, so it's going to lessen the number of air leaks you may end up having. So I'll show you how easy it is to actually get this put back together. You would put your fitting over the top of your rubber tube here. Let's get it taken apart a little bit more here. So you put this over the top, and then you put your fitting down inside here. Then you move your clamp back up over. There's a undercut section of the tube fitting. So it kind of looks like this, and that's where the clamp fits. So then what you do is you will take and you will get one of your 2 styles of pinchers. This is the lesser expensive of the 2 because it's more of a manual type clamp assembly. This one here is more ergonomic because it's sprung, so it is less work. This you'd want to use if you were having a lot of rubber tube assemblies that you were going to have to do. This one's for the customer who may not do as many, but both work well. So you get your pinchers down. They have a little tooth on them or a little hook on them. You get that into your fitting on that side and then on that side. And then basically all you do is you pinch this together over, get your tab over the little hook on the end there, and then your rubber tube is together. Then all you have to do is put your tube stiffener down inside. No more need for altered fittings. So that lessens the amount of time that you would need for a rubber tube assembly replacement, even if you had a tube stiffener. So now we're working on the non-valve end here. Again, you put your clamp on, put your fitting in the end, move your clamp up to where the seat is on the rubber tube or on the fitting there. And then what you're going to do is again grab your fitting here and there, maybe. Pinchers don't get away from you here. So you want to make sure that you get them on both ends here. Grab it with your pliers, and you can see on this end you just move that together like that. Push that down over the hook on that end and release. And then your rubber tube assembly is back together and ready to install in your shaft.